Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 2nd of September 2019. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session, where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts that we looked at this morning. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD website, but specifically our JFD research page, where you can go in and have a look at different analysis that we do on a daily basis, and yep, I believe you can find something useful here. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the DXY. Now, I looked at this one this morning, and this is what I was talking about basically. So initially, what I was saying, that we may see a small correction, maybe back to the downside, but as you can see, the correction never happened, but it kind of played out the more cautious approach that I was talking about, basically, where I was saying that if we get a nice clear break initially above the 98.93 zone, and then ideally a push above the 99 zone, then we could consider further moves higher here. And as you can see, this is what's happening right now. So we got our breaks, it is trying to push higher. Now, it will be very interesting to see where actually this is going to end, because for now it seems that the path is it's holding its path towards the 100 level, but to be honest, before it could reach that 100 level, it may retrace. We could see some retracement pushing this one back down a little bit. So for now, be very careful. Again, you can see that looking at today's pivot points, the DXY is pushing above its R1. So in a way, what we could see happening here is maybe this could even push a little bit further up here, maybe towards somewhere in between the R1 and R2, which is around the 99.20-21 zone. And then if it gets a hold up around here, we could see this one correcting back down towards the 99 zone, and then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do, because again, as you can see, we are trading above this steep upside line here. So in a way, like I said, it could push a little bit higher here. It could maybe get stalled somewhere around the in between the R1 and R2, around the 99.20 zone. And if it does that, then yep, like I said, we could see this one correcting back down a little bit. And still, as long as it remains above this upside line, we will kind of remain bullish in the near term. But of course, if this upside line gets a break here, then yep, we will aim for a bit of a correction here to the downside. So excuse me. So for now, as you can see, overall we are still within an uptrend. Some might even try to draw something like this here, where you can try to maybe draw a rising channel formation, but again, it's a bit of a tentative, too tentative here. So that's why for now, just stick to this upside support line and keep an eye on some of these levels. And the first one to watch out for, like I said, it's going to be the area around the in between the R1 and R2. Today's R1 and R2, which is around the 99.20, and we may see a hold up here, and we could see maybe this one correcting back down a little bit, but as long as it remains above this upside line, we will continue aiming to the upside. Now, looking at the USDCAD, and also this is something that I talked about this morning, basically for us, what we needed here is, in order to kind of consider higher levels, we needed a nice good clear break above the 1.3345, but as you can see, we did get our break. but the bears are really trying hard right now and pushing this one back below the 1.3345 zone. So what we're going to do here is we're going to wait and see how a daily candle is going to close, because if it remains below this 1.3345, then probably this could kind of drift back down again a little bit, maybe kind of wait for the big move, to make the big move on Wednesday, when we'll have the Bank of Canada interest rate decision, and maybe then we will have that strong push outside of this range. For now, you can see that the push happened. It did break above it, but if it stays below today, if it stays below this 1.3345, then we could probably see this one correcting back down a little bit, and maybe kind of waiting until Wednesday. If of course this stays above the 1.3345, then well, I mean, there could be more chances for this one to push further up here. Not saying that maybe of course we do have a good level here near the 1.3432 33 zone, but to be honest, it might take a while until it could get here, given that we can see that there's not much kind of strength right now in this one, even though it did break it to the upside here. It did break this 1.3345, so for now, probably be very careful here. This little thing here might be considered as a maybe false breakout, and if it does, and if the daily candle is going to stay below this today, then like I said, this could be seen as a false breakout, and we could see this one correcting back to the downside. What you could do here is, from the short-term perspective, is keep an eye on this little level right here, near the 1.3310, and if we see a slide below this, then we may see USDCAD maybe moving back towards the 200 EMA, or even this lower side of the range that the pair is currently stuck in. So keep your eyes on this one. Like I said, for now, be very careful, and it did have a nice break here, but let's see how the daily candle is going to end up here. Basically, if it's going to stay above this, then there's there is some chance for a further move higher, but if it's going to remain below the 1.3345 today, then we could see this little breakout as a false breakout for now. So yep, keep your eyes on this one. Jumping into another dollar pair, and that's USDCHF. Now this is quite interesting as well, because in a way what we could see here is a possible rising channel formation. You can see that the pair is currently near the upper side and near the upper bound of this potential formation. Again, we'll be very careful here, because if it holds, then yes, that's great, good news for the bears, because we could see this one correcting back down here a little bit. The only problem here with this correction back down is this little upside support line. And let me just quickly draw this one right here. So in a way, as long as it kind of remains above this line, we will continue aiming higher, but if this line gets broken and the rate falls below this level right here, let me just put this one on the chart, near the 0.9877 zone, something like that. Now this is where it could become a little bit tricky here for the bulls in the short run, because we could see this one, we could see this pair sliding back down, maybe towards this this lower side of the rising channel formation. So again, could be an idea, but again, probably the main thing right now what to watch is, of course, how it behaves near this upper side of the this rising channel formation. So if it gets another break here, if it breaks through this, then well, it could be opening the path for itself towards this area of resistance near the 0.9975 76 zone, approximately around there. So this is what you could keep an eye on then, after, if let's say if we get a nice push above this. For now, like I said, it is very tricky. If the upper side of this rising channel is going to hold, again, consider a possibility of this one sliding back down, and if this upside line holds, then this is where it could become a little bit more interesting for the bulls again, and we could see this one pushing back to the upside, or we could see something like this. Let me just quickly put this on the chart. But if this upside line starts to break and we see a rate dropping, the rate dropping below below the 0.9877, then well, consider a possible correction here, a larger correction to the downside, and then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do after. Maybe we'll go all the way towards this towards the lower side of the rising channel, or maybe we'll just hang around somewhere here near the 200 EMA and then maybe rebound from here. But like I said, first let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. First, let's see what he wants to do with the upper side of the rising channel formation. Another interesting pair that I really wanted to quickly touch on, and that's EURGBP. I talked about this last weekend, and this is what I was telling you to keep an eye on. Basically, to keep an eye on this little this little range roughly between the 0.9015 and the 0.1995. You can see that the pair is pushing higher nicely to the upside today, but the big question here is, will this actually get broken? If it will break this one, this 0.1995, and especially if it stays, if a daily candle stays above this, then well, there could be a good chance for this one to push further up here towards the 0.9160. Good potential area of resistance here, and then we'll take it from there. Because of course, looking at this picture, yes, we did have a nice correction here to the downside, and again, for now we could class this move lower here as a correction. But again, that's why, guys, for now, be very careful. Keep an eye on the 0.1995. If we get a nice good break above this, then there is a chance for this one to push back up here towards the 0.9160, or even go back towards the 0.92 zone, or around there. But again, all eyes are on this right now, so let's see how this is going to play out. In terms of the downside, for us to get comfortable with lower levels, ideally we would like to see a drop below the 0.9015, and only then we will consider a possible slide further down, because this way the pair would confirm a forthcoming lower low here, and it could in a way open the path for itself towards the 0.8950 or even lower than that. So again, be very careful. For now, it's closer to the upper side here of this little range. Let's see if it actually manages to break that manages to break that or not. GBPUSD, so this leads us into GBPUSD. So I talked about this one this morning as well, and during the espresso video in the morning, we're hanging around here, basically near the pivot, just slightly below that. And this is what I was talking about. Basically, if this pivot point here, this area near the 1.2175 holds, we could see this one sliding back down here, and we will get comfortable with lower areas if we see a drop below the 1.2137. And this is what we got. The pair traveled all the way here, not only towards this target, this one of our targets near the 1.2106, but also managed to test the 1.2063 zone. So, well, actually not only test, but actually break that as well. So for now, of course, it's not looking good here for the GBPUSD. In a way, there is a possibility for this one to continue moving lower. The only thing is that we are already quite extended here to the downside. Of course, the Brexit developments kind of are not helping out this pair. For now, we're going to be very careful. Of course, we're going to target this level right here, the lowest point of August, near the 1.2013-15 zone, approximately around there. For those who are more on the cautious side, in order to consider further declines here, what you could do is just wait for a clear drop below the August lows here, and then aim for lower levels, because this way the pair would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could then aim for the same 120 level or even below that. But again, for now, be very careful here. Like I said, it is currently balancing just slightly below this 1.2063 zone, which is the low of the 20th of August. In a way, what could happen here is, of course, given that we are quite extended here to the downside already, there could be a possibility of maybe a small correction back up here. But to be honest, we'll be very careful with that, because at any point it could reverse and push back to the downside again. For now, what we're going to be targeting here is the 1.2013 zone. We'll see how it performs around there, and then we'll take it from there. In terms of the upside here, if this suddenly travels back above the 1.2106, I mean, there could be a chance maybe for this one to push a little bit higher. The only thing is that still we are within this downtrend. We're still trading below the downside resistance line taken from the high of May here. So in a way, even if it pushes back above the 1.2106, or even let's say if it pushes above the 1.2137, this move higher still up until this downside line will be classed as a correction. And for us, let's say, to get comfortable with the upside in the medium term, ideally we would like to see a push not only above this this downside resistance line, but also above this 1.2310 level. I do understand it's quite a bit of a big of a move, so again, that's why I'm saying that for the medium term, that's what we need. But in the short run, if this suddenly travels back above the 1.2106 or even the 1.2137, there is a possibility to see this one pushing a little bit higher here and maybe testing this downside resistance line. So for now, be very careful with the British pound, especially on the buy side. And like I said, any bad headline from the kind of the Brexit developments or from the UK Parliament could put more downside pressure here on the British currency. So keep your eyes on this one. For now, like I said, we are aiming for slightly lower levels, but let's not exclude a possibility maybe of seeing this small correction back up a little bit, and then we'll aim for the 1.2013 again. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's GBPNZD. So this one is probably the worst performer today, one of the worst performers today, of course in line with GBPUSD as well. So as you can see, we did have a nice drop here from today's pivot, which was around the 1.9285 zone, something like that, approximately around there. And you can see that it had a strong sell-off here. It pushed lower, it continues to push lower, it continues to push below its S2. The only thing is that what to keep an eye on here is, of course, this this upside support line. A bit of a tentative one, but nevertheless we'll keep an eye on it. And you can see that it is getting closer to that line. It still has a bit of room here. So in a way, this if we see the pair sliding lower, keep your eyes on this upside line, and also keep your eyes on this level right here near the 1.9075 area, which also could play out nicely as a good area of support, because that was seen as a good area of support back on the 26th of August. So again, for now, of course it's tricky to talk about the upside here on this pair, but to be honest, technically speaking, as long as it remains above this upside line, we will kind of target higher levels. Once this line gets broken and we see it drop below the 1.9075, then this is where it could change the picture a little bit, and we could target slightly lower areas. Initially we'll aim for the 200 EMA, but to be honest, there are some better ones here, better areas of potential support, like this one being first, around the 1.8893 zone, something like that, approximately around there, or even going further down towards the 1.8825. So also good potential target. But again, I'll repeat myself, before we could examine these lower areas here, we need to see this break below this upside line and below the 1.9075. Until until it's trading above this upside line, it kind of, well, we can't really talk about the downside here. So keep your eyes on this one. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me tomorrow morning, as always, on my Traders Espresso, that's 6 o'clock GMT. For now, I hope you have a beautiful evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.